When sending invoices to the insurance networks through EDI, there are going to be times when you're going to get rejections from the insurance network for those invoices. When you get a rejection, it will show up on your EDI status report, and the rejection will have a message with it explaining what is wrong with the invoice and what needs to be fixed. So you'll need to correct that invoice and then resubmit it back to the insurance network. Now, if you don't understand the rejection message, you can give us a call here at tech support. We can help explain that to you. But I'm going to go through here the two different methods of how to actually make a change to an invoice and resubmit it. Now, again, I mentioned there are two methods. The first method I'm going to go through, I don't normally really recommend that you use. I would really recommend the second method. However, the first method does tend to be a little bit quicker in some cases. However, there are other cases where the first method I'm going to show you can't really be used for one reason or another. So the first method would be to just reopen the invoice. Since it's been through a closeout and it's closed, you can't normally edit that invoice. So to be able to make changes to it, you would first have to reopen that invoice. So in order to do that, you would go to Admin and go to Reopen Invoice. Now you may not have this option. Your user access may not be set to a level that allows you to get to this Reopen Invoice. So if you don't have it, then you either need to have somebody who does have access to this area reopen the invoice for you, or you're going to need to use the second method, the credit and rebill. So we would choose Reopen Invoice. We'll type in our invoice number. You can see up in the corner there it shows that it's closed. We'll choose Reopen. Now it shows that it's open. And now we can go ahead and search for that particular invoice. Now that we've pulled it up, you can see along the top in the header it shows Edit instead of Close, so that means we can edit this. And then we would go ahead and fix whatever needed to be fixed. So some of the common things that you may have to change would be perhaps a VIN number or a dispatch number. So you just go back into the claim information and make the changes. A lot of other times you might need to change the pricing. So you might need to go here and say for the material rate, maybe it was supposed to be 47% off of list instead of 45% off of list. So make whatever changes are necessary based on the rejection message. And then you'll go ahead and choose Save, and you'll have the option to resubmit EDI, and then you'll choose OK and confirm that you want to resubmit it. Now at this point, this invoice actually, because it's already been through a closeout, doesn't matter if you run a closeout again. If you want to go ahead and just send it again right now, you can go to EDI and choose Process EDI. However, when you do your closeout at the end of the day, it will send this invoice again with your new invoices as well. Now, the second method is the credit and rebill, and this is the method that I recommend that you use because if you're using any of the accounting and you're going to be changing any of the amounts on the ticket, you're going to be changing your accounting reports. Now, if this invoice was just done within this month, that may not be a big deal, but if it's an older invoice and you've already run accounting reports for that month or run sales tax reports, you're changing that information and you really don't want to do that. You want to create a credit and then rebill the invoice for today's date so that all your reports are correct. So like I said, if you've already paid sales tax perhaps on this invoice and now we're changing the amount on this invoice and that changes our sales tax, that's not going to be reflected on our current month sales tax report. So in order to do a credit and rebill, which is actually a pretty easy procedure, let's go ahead and run through it again. We're going to recall the ticket. We'll go to POS and choose Credit Rebill. And we want the option number 1, full credit to an existing invoice and rebill. We're going to credit the current one. We're going to choose a reason from the drop-down menu here and then type in a better description and then hit finish and confirm we're crediting and rebilling the ticket. And now it's back to being an order. You can see up at the top the number is the same, it's just added an R to the end to show it's a rebill. And then again we would just go ahead and make the necessary change, choose save. This time though, because we've created a new ticket and it's still a work order, we wouldn't choose resubmit, we would just choose invoice and OK. And again, because we're just now creating this invoice, we would need to run the closeout report to close the invoice and then send the invoice through EDI. So that's the two different methodologies of how to correct and resubmit an EDI invoice. Again, if you're not sure from the rejection message what needs to be fixed, you can look through the other tutorials. We do have some of the most common rejection messages in our tutorial list there in the EDI section to walk you through how to fix them. But if you're not finding it there, just give tech support a call and we'll be happy to walk you through that.